Welcome back. We are joined by the leader of ActionSA, who have been dubbed as the kingmakers in these local government elections. Thanks so much for staying with us, Mr. Mashaba. I think let's move over to who ActionSA could possibly work with moving forward. You have mentioned that there was, if I can say, an informal discussion with the DA yesterday. Would you be willing to work with the EFF?
Well, we'll work with the EFF if they are reasonable with their demands and their expectations. I think we worked well with them when I was the mayor of the city of Johannesburg because, you know, fortunate enough, people must understand that local government is not about policies. It's about service delivery. We decide which streets we must go and tar, or which electrical substation we must go and repair and so forth. So there are no real policy issues. But obviously, it's impossible to work with the EFF at the national level. But at local government level, I think for us as ActionSA, we're happy. But I don't know if you are aware, we launched an online platform and just got the latest figures. We launched it on Friday afternoon. Up to now, we've got over 14,000 people who are giving us inputs as to who to work with. Obviously, very clear, no ANC. But we are happy to really, you as the voters, because it's your vote. We represent your votes. Because there's one thing that South Africans must understand. Whatever we do as public representatives, we act on the mandate of the voters. So that's why we now go back to the voters to say, of all these political parties, with the exception of the ANC, because the question with the ANC closed at the launch of ActionSA, because ActionSA is a party that was started out of 2.4 million South Africans' mandate. And their mandate was very clear, to say work towards constitutionally removing the ANC and sitting the ANC. So there is no way that we can go against that. So it is clear that we are not going to talk to the ANC, but other parties, we are asking people to let us know. So closing date for that is tomorrow. I think on Monday we might have a press conference or some kind of communication, give you the feedback, what actually the voters, because the people we represent, the people who gave us this mandate to really be in government.
What would be the ideal coalition for you?
I think an ideal coalition would really be a coalition of people who are committed to public service, people who actually understand that the voters are our bosses, that when we service as government, we service society. We don't just provide services to people who voted for us in government. We provide services to everybody. That is why our online platform is not only open to people who voted for us. It's open to all the residents of the 6 municipalities, because ultimately, once we can get into that coalition arrangement, we are going to be saving everyone. And I think, I'm sure your South Africans are aware, certain parties tend to want to only provide services to their constituencies, which is really against the constitutional framework of our country.
I think many here in Johannesburg want to hear how you are going to try and solve the electricity crisis here and the water cuts that are constantly happening. What are you going to bring different to the table? Because we're constantly hearing how City Power is blaming Eskom is saying it's City Power, and there's just a blame game going on, but it's still not providing the basic services for the people in the city of Johannesburg. How are you going to fix that?
It is precisely, Heidi, if you look at the budget that I went through and I presented before I left, we look at the 2019, that finished 2019. As I said, we moved our infrastructure budget from 58% to 71%, saved over 2 billion rands of vanity projects of the ANC, started putting this into refurbishment of electrical substations. We're upgrading our sewer networks and so forth and so forth. So I think those are things that they really need to continue. But one thing that South Africans must understand, it's the fact that if we are not going to establish a professional public service, not a public service that we see today in all the municipalities where ANC governs, where they put in people because of who they know instead of the skills. So for us as ActionSA, one of the conditions that we are going to put to all our coalition partners, they must understand, when we take over any of the municipalities, one of our first priorities must be to get rid of ANC cadres who are in positions not of their skills. We must put in people with the skills, and, so that we can deliver good services to our people. Because as a political leadership, our role is to provide political direction and our manifestos of all the political parties. But obviously the execution happens with the city manager and downwards. Now, the last time when I took over, you remember, I was accused of getting rid of experienced ANC people, and I used to say to the media and everyone, I said, yes, I'm getting rid of people who are experienced in stealing. I'm not interested in experienced thieves. I want professional people, trained engineers, accountants, and so forth. And they don't have to belong to ActionSA. South Africans are willing. And we were beginning to actually win in that regard. But after I left, I see they've brought back. Some of the people are fired for corruption. People who are supposed to be in jail. ANC brought them back in the city of Johannesburg. So we have to deal with those people. In Tshwane, if anyone wants us to really partner with them, it must be the priority in all the municipalities where ActionSA is going to be. We want to ensure that we give all South Africans the opportunity, regardless of their color, their race. What we want are skilled South Africans to really play this role. Okay,
we're running out of time, and I have 3 more very important questions. Your views on undocumented foreign nationals has been frowned upon. Perhaps just go into a little bit more detail as to what your stance is and why you think people frown upon what you feel about undocumented foreign nationals in the country.
Let me make it clear, Heidi, and I've said this and I'll say it another 1,000 times. South Africa was built over the last 400 years at the back of migrants, and we must continue at that. That's the only way we can build our economy in our country. But people must come here legally, and when they're here, they must respect our laws. Anyone who come here illegally and they don't respect our laws, I can tell you as ActionSA, we are unapologetic. We're going to send them back to their countries. We will hold Home Affairs accountable. There's just no way that we're going to allow, when we have 12 million of our own people are unemployed, and we bring people from failed governments to come and work in restaurants and run hairdressing salons and so forth. It can be truck drivers. It's not going to happen under ActionSA. And that's what our constitution says. That's what all civilized nations, all the countries all over the world are saying. And South Africa should not really. South Africa is not going to be a test case of anarchy. So people who are in this country for wrong reasons, as ActionSA, we are unapologetic. We'll send them back. We will process and give people an opportunity. And those who come here legally, I'll be the first one. I'll meet them at the airports. I'll have red carpets for them. At the border post, I must be there every day to welcome people of the world who are coming here legally, bringing the skills, bringing in their money, their dollars and their euros or whatever, kwashas. I will personally be there with the red carpets. But who are coming here for nefarious, illegal reasons to come and give us counterfeit goods, expired goods, come and do human trafficking, I'm afraid under ActionSA will never happen. We'll never apologize to anyone about it.
Okay, and then quickly speak to us about the state of our economy. And we know that you're a businessman as well. We know that you have a keen interest in the economy. Youth unemployment is a massive problem. Providing sustainable job opportunities in this country is another massive problem. How bad do you think it is, especially in the economic hub of this country? And what are you going to do to fix it?
It is crime. What COSATU has created, this tripartite alliance, is crime against humanity, where they went about closing one business after the other, coming out with what are called draconian laws. Under ActionSA, no labor union will have a veto right on our economic policies. We will engage unions. They've got a right to really be there to represent their members. But government has got a responsibility to represent everyone. When you go out and destroy businesses and we expect to have economic activity, that's why we end up with 74% unemployment, 12 million of our own people unemployed. I can tell you this tripartite alliance of the ANC, COSATU and South African Communist Party, they must take 95% responsibility for the suffering of our people. Nothing to do with this country. This country has got a lot of potential. They destroyed SMMEs because of coming out with this draconian labor laws. We will deal with these labor laws that can allow you, as Heidi, if you want to work for Herman, and Herman can afford to give you 10,000 rands, I don't really believe there's any union that must get involved in that kind of relationship. Unashamedly, COSATU went to close one factory after the other. I can give you examples. You know, South Africa, we're the only country in the world with factories that are lying empty. We are saying as ActionSA, come 2024, these factories, we want to give them, like we did with the inner city of Johannesburg, we want to give them to the private sector. We will actually give them incentives. Please reopen these factories, employ our people, bring in South Africans, rents, euros, squashers, whatever. Let's get South Africa to actually be a manufacturing hub of the world and utilize this factory so that people of Amanskral, people of Twatwa, people of Harankua don't have to really come to the city of Johannesburg. They can actually walk to their places of employment like they used to in the past. You know, when I grew up, South Africa was short of manpower. That's why when we were students, on Saturdays like this, my peers will go into town to go and do temporary works. During holidays, people just going kids. People who did not work were those who did not want to work. Today, we have got kids, even within my family, born in 1994. Some of them with degrees. They've not had an opportunity to work. Kids born in 1994. For 20 years, they've never seen their parents actually wake up to provide for them because Cyril Ramaphosa says they must live on 350 rands a month. And even the 350 rands, they still have to bribe 50 rands to really get it. I mean, you cannot really destroy the dignity of a nation like this and expect to really have normality.
And then, okay, I have two more questions, but the last one's going to be very quick. Quickly tell me, many say that you left when it got too hot in the kitchen with the DA, and I know you left because you disagreed with a lot of their policies and the direction that the DA was taking. But there is a bit of a concern that moving into a coalition, and if you do become mayor or if you do work with parties that you are unhappy with, that you leave again because it gets too hot in the kitchen. What do you say to those that are a little bit skeptical about you having left serving as mayor of the city of Johannesburg, and if there's a possibility that could happen now?
It is actually one who's beyond foolishness to think that I just left. I left at the time because I was representing the DA. And you can imagine the DA having secret meetings with the ANC to remove me, facilitated by the IRR. It was obvious that they were going to vote me out. So what is the point? If DA wanted their own party, I said, no, you've got it. And it was not because it was hot. I tolerated the abuse for 3 years, and I thought they will see some sense in what I was trying to do. But when they started talking to a criminal organization called the ANC, that's when I realized I'm not dealing with honest people. If they've got issues with me and we are unable to resolve them, and they go and partner with a criminal syndicate, that's when I realized this is not the party that I signed up for. So
you disagree with the remarks, and I'm sure you've said this before, but let's just rehash this. You would disagree with the remarks that you put the EFF first. For example, when Helen Zille said that you you failed to put the Democratic Alliance first in your responsibilities as the city of Joburg mayor, and you put other political parties first.
Anyone who's going to believe Helen Zille would be also crazy, because Helen, it's a habitual liar. Lying for her, it's part of her DNA. If obviously she believes that I gave EFF preference because I wanted to focus to a large extent on giving poor people dignity, give them toilets. And if she believes that was the EFF policy, when I wanted to insource our poor people who were exploited by the ANC, and when the DA refused me to insource and said, to go and make it your policy here, I'm not running a DA government, I'm running a multi-party government. So obviously if Helen has got a problem with it, it's her problem. And she must not really make that my problem. And those are the issues that we've got to deal with in this arrangement. If they believe that they're going to come out with the arrogance to think that poor people are not going to be part of their agenda, then I'm afraid they're most welcome to really go and partner with the ANC. They'll never partner with us, because we are not going to compromise on social justice. Social justice is one of our core priorities. If a DA is looking for a mayor of grass cutting in Sandton, or they're looking for a party that's going to help them to cut grass in Sandton and forget about providing toilets and dignity to poor people, then they mustn't waste our time.
Okay, last 30 seconds. The ANC has contacted you. You've said no. The DA has had an informal discussion with you. I don't know what the answer is there. Who else has contacted you? And when will we know who you'll be willing to...
Well, one thing I know, John has been having informal discussion with us, other smaller parties, but informal, nothing really material. I mean, even if she can talk to all of them, they can't form a government. The only way you can form a government, that's when you talk to the DA, and the DA actually, because even with the EFF, you can't really get the majority. And for us, if the DA is going to keep their arrogance and think that we will help them to cut grass in Sandton, then honestly, they must not really waste our time.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. And we'll just have to wait and see in the next 2 weeks what transpires. Thank you so much. That is the ActionSA leader, Herman Mashaba.